What's up from the garden? It's time to talk dirt. Today I wanted to talk about weeding and some of my favorite weeding tools, how I like to use them, and why you should consider investing in something that will make weeding a little bit easier for you. All right, a lot of people don't have to deal with weeds in the same kind of way because of the properties they're working on. You could have heavy mulch around your perennials and that'll keep you from having to deal with a lot of weeds. You could have fabric down underneath or something like a weed barrier, and that's going to prevent you from having to deal with these weeds. And if you keep your beds with potting soil, or like, you're adding soil to it, and you get the weed seeds out of there and keep them weed seed free, then you can pretty much avoid weeding in your beds as well. So in my beds, I like to avoid having weeds growing in them for mostly slug reasons more than anything else. I kind of like having leaf mulch normally, but there's just so many slugs out here otherwise. So I like to keep those beds weeded. I like to keep my perennials mulched thickly, but I also grow a lot of things naturally. You can see all that mustard growing down there. And so there's also a big hill down there that we're gonna get to. So you can see when I'm down there, the way that I'm gonna choose to weed things depends on what kind of plant it is. I'm gonna just try to select for the things that I want to be growing so that things can continue to be easy for me. So first, let's take a look at the tools, and then let's get to action. First off, you got this standard like empty hoe. And this thing is beat, it's not in good condition, so I really need to do a little bit of TLC on this, but this is a good tool for just scraping the soil, and you can get just underneath the surface and decapitate the plant, like, and then you could do your weeding like that while you're standing up. I like these if you're having to do a bigger area and just want to do a general weed, but you can't be very selective with these. You can use the corner a little bit to get into some areas, but then after that, you're losing a lot of your variability, and if it's deep rooted, it's not going to help. So another tool I really have come to love is a scythe. I've got a little short scythe right here, and I used to use machetes for a lot of like taking down really big weeds, but man, this thing is a little bit easier. It's lightweight and it's got the curve on it, so it's just easier to control, easier to get the point on something that you're really trying to select. I have been loving this thing for certain applications, so I'm going to show you the ways that I like to use the scythe. I've got another like Japanese kind of tool right here that's like a kind of a sickle, like one-sided hoe, and I like this because with the one-sided point you can really get into a crack or something if you need to, and this is good if you're just trying to scrape. It's a little sharper than the hoe, so you can really just and then kill some things. All right, so this is a good tool to have. Lots of different sizes, just like with the scythe, lots of different sizes and shapes. All right, so you can find one that works for you. If you're left-handed, they have them that face the other direction. All right, hori knife. This right here is one of my absolute favorite gardening tools. Not only is it great for digging little holes if you want to plant something or plant some little seedlings, it's also great for weeding. This side is like a little blade right here, and this side is a saw. The saw is really good at just cutting through stuff, so if you're right at the base of a plant, we'll get into that, but hori knife, I love this. It allows you to dig up under the roots of the plant and really get it up if you're trying to eradicate that plant completely. So let's get down on the hill. We're going to use all of these bad boys. See what's up. One more quick thing that I forgot to mention in this video about hori knives is they're really good for weeding stuff in cracks in cement. And take that serrated edge and just cut stuff right out like that. Just like that. Boom. So that's really tough to get weeds in the cracks. Really helpful right there. Now let's start with the hoe. One of the reasons I don't like using these is because it turns up a lot of soil. Turning up the soil is going to create the conditions where more weed seeds can germinate and thrive. So unless you're really just trying to clear out an area before you tarp it or something, is not the best bet. It's an uncultivated area here, so I'll show you. And if you have like a lot of them, you're not really trying to select to save anything, you go over it and just scrape it out like that. It's hard with one hand, but you get the point. And if your tool's sharper, it'll make it a lot easier for you. So that's the way that you use these. You can use the corner, like I said, to just dig something out pretty easily. All right. Now this is a little bit more selective if you're trying to disturb less soil and really just pick out the plant that you're trying to pick. So here's two plants growing right next to each other. I can go in and just kill the one. Oh, actually, that's the same plant. Either way, you get what I'm saying. You can go in, here's two plants growing right next to each other. I can just kill the one and disturb less soil. And you want to get a little bit beneath the plant so that you're not just cutting it at the top, because it's going to regrow probably. If it's dandelion family like this, it's like an ox tongue. So boom, you get under it and there's grasses, make sure you get the weeds. So these are nice. Again, simple scraping motion, get the weeds out. Really simple, and get into some tight areas like so. So I find these are pretty useful. Hori knife. All right, so there's multiple ways you can get weeds out with this. One way is to just pop them out. So you can find something right here, dig down, pop it out, weed it right there. Now, another way I like to get things is find a bigger one here. So you can take this, and if you can't get under it for some reason, then you could also use the saw part to just try to cut it beneath the soil. See, we got one right here. Or no, I already got that one. See, we got one right here. Again, super easy. And love using these. You could try to disturb less soil by just getting right next to the plant and making sure you kill it. There you go. Hori knife. Love these things. Also good for clearing some small branches and stuff. You can saw off little limbs of things. But now let's move on to the sickle. We're going to move into an area where this is better for use. So you can use this on these kinds of weeds if you want to. Like, you can just get the tip of the sickle and just saw the plant off. But more than likely, since the sickle is pretty sharp, you're going to cut the plant and not get all the roots up. So the way I really like to use these is in a scenario where the foliage is a little thicker. You might have something like this nasturtium. That is a pretty flower and I like it to grow, but if you look right here, it's taking over this path. So you can see at the path right here, we're going to come in with the sickle and just clear up that green material so that the path is walkable again. I'll show you how it goes. There we go, got the path all cleared up with this side. It's super useful if you're just trying to clear up some stuff, especially if you're not minding leaving the roots in. So if you leave the roots in the ground, the plant has a chance to regrow. If it's something like a dandelion or an arugula that I don't mind growing out here, then I might just cut it at the base when I want to select for another plant in the area. But if it's something like this ox tongue that I want to eradicate, I'm going to make sure I get it underneath the ground so that it doesn't pop back up with whatever tool that I'm using. So hopefully this helps you with your weeding endeavors. If you can keep something eradicated long enough without it setting the seed, and there's nothing nearby and above higher than you in elevation where the seeds are going to just drift down, then you can keep the soil undisturbed. You're going to have a lot better time keeping the weeds down. You might have a chance to get a whole area like this is a whole area where it's mostly weed free. Down there below is uncultivated that I was showing you earlier. Up here is the area that I work on, and I'm able to get all sorts of different edible and ornamental things to grow in here during the spring. This is the winter right now, so there's just the natural nasturtium, but once the rains come in, then might be all sorts of different things growing out here, and I will show you that. So yeah, happy weeding. Weeding ain't easy, but it sure is fun. No, I guess it's not very fun, but it is a really important part of gardening. And if you like to grow plants in this crazy, wild way that I do, then weeding is one of your biggest tasks, because growing plants is easy. Selecting which ones you want to grow is what the challenge becomes. All right, happy gardening.